Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you the process / tutorial of how I made my crochet shoe covers. And I first got this idea when I was scrolling through Instagram and I came across this incredible crochet artist who makes literally the most magical things. Her name is Alexandria, and she first came up with this idea of crocheting shoe covers on top of her canvas shoes, and I was immediately hooked and I knew I had to do it. So Bangs, which is my favorite canvas shoe company, sent me over a pair of their London Fog high tops. A lot of you know I love Bangs so much. I actually got to design my own pair of canvas shoes with the mushroom, the fern, and the moon. I got to design these and it is literally, I am so proud of them. It is my favorite project to date and I am obsessed with them. And I love Bangs. They are a women-owned company. They support entrepreneurs. They're a small business and I absolutely could not be more obsessed with them. So if you are in the need for a epic canvas shoe that is incredibly high quality, go check out Bangs. My shoe size is a 7.5. So if you are a different shoe size, or you have a low top, or if you have a higher high top, or whatever, you're going to need to make the adjustments accordingly. But basically, I'm kind of just going through how I made mine and how I shaped it to fit onto my panels. And looking back, this was my first one that I ever made. And looking back, I would definitely change some things. Like I used 6-strand embroidery thread, and if I could go back, I would do, like I did it halfway through, but I would only use 3 strands just because it's a little, the 6-strand was way too thick. And in some places you can tell, but I did switch halfway through, but I would definitely not do that going forward with the next pair that I do. And then also for the tongue piece, I made 2 separate panels and I only needed to do 1 technically. So there are some adjustments that I would definitely make, but definitely make note of that because you can learn from my mistakes, or just like you can learn to make yours a little bit better. But I am very happy with how they turned out. They're super fun and colorful, and you can do any color you want. You can do one color, but I think they're just so much fun, and I really hope you guys choose to make them. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support on my channel. It means the whole world to me. So let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. Here are the shoes that I'm using. These are size women's 7.5, men's 6. And since I'm doing them on a 7.5 and I'm making them to fit the size 7.5, if you have a different shoe size, you're gonna have to alter this. But I'm kind of just going through and showing you how I made mine, and then you can kind of make the adjustments that you need for your size to make yours. But I have both of my shoes here and I'll show you. This is one of my husband's shoes. This design I designed for Bangs, and I'm just so obsessed with it. Shameless plug. But this is one of the panels that I made for my shoe. And also with the fact that this one has a higher, like high top, it doesn't work, this panel that I made and I designed. Also because his foot is bigger, it doesn't completely fit like it does on this one, like it does on this panel. This fits perfectly on this shoe. So you'll just have to alter it accordingly. But I'm hoping that with this tutorial, it helps you guys. I'm thinking it will help you guys understand how I made this one, so then you guys can go ahead and make your own. This is one of the side panels on the side of the shoe, and I'm going to eventually be sewing it on, but I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like. I have my composition notebook that I did all of the like drafts in for the shoe. It took me, I think, 3 to do the side. And then I have the lip part here, and that is actually 2 parts like that. So I will show you how I did all of this. So I know it looks like really intimidating, but it was intimidating to me at first too. But then I just wrote down everything that I did, and then it was extremely helpful. So it took me like quite a few tries, but I did eventually get it, and I'm absolutely so obsessed with it. I'll have to weave in all my ends before we sew it on, but we're gonna go ahead, and I have 3 of the side panels already done, and you're going to need 4. So we're gonna go ahead and make the 4th one together. I'm gonna show you how I did it. You can of course do this in any yarn variety that you want. Like you can do multicolors, you can do like a variated yarn, you can do a solid color, you can do literally whatever you want. But I am going to do rainbow, as you can see, like a muted rainbow colors, and I have just some 100% cotton yarn here. And I'm going to start off with my red yarn, and I have a 5mm hook that I'm using for this project. And I'm going to start off with a slip knot. And then I'm going to chain 22. Here I have my chain of 22, and here's the side of my shoe here. And I have it right towards the end. Let me just move this one here. And I have the end, the first chain right here, and then I have the last chain right here, and it fits really nicely all the way down, because basically we're just shaping our crochet to go like this and to go like this, just for this, because we need this shape. And basically we're just going to do increasing, decreasing, smaller stitches. We're going to do some single crochets, some half double crochets, but the main stitch that we're using is double crochet for just the regular most of the body, and then the shaping part we're going to use smaller stitches, we're going to use decreasing, increasing, but I'll explain all of that. So we have our first beginning chain, and then we're going to do 2 more chains, and then we're going to double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook, because these 2 chains don't count because they are part of our first double crochet. And then we're going to yarn over and put 1 double crochet in all of the rest of the stitches, going all the way down the row. Just 1 double crochet in every stitch. And why we chained an extra 2 is because you had your perfect chain amount of 22 that fit perfectly, and if you were to double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook with your 22, it would be shorter. So you want to make sure that you add the 2 just so your count is still at the 22 chains, or however many chains that you need to reach this measurement here. Now I'm in my last double crochet of the row, and there we have our first row right here. And now I'm going to cut my yarn, because I am switching yarn colors for every row. And now I'm going to go to my orange, and I'm just going to add that color in. And if you're not switching colors, you can go ahead and skip this step. But I'm just attaching in my new yarn color. And now we have our orange attached, and we are going to chain 2, turn our work. So we're going this way now, and in that same stitch there, we're going to put our first double crochet of the row, just like that. And then in all the rest of the stitches, we're going to put 1 double crochet until we reach the end of the row. And then we are going to do an increase at the end of the row. So just 1 double crochet in every single stitch. And in the last stitch, we are going to be doing an increase, because on my shoe, see how it kind of goes out like this? So we need to increase our amount of stitches to accommodate that shape. And now we've reached our last stitch of the row. So I'm going to insert my hook, put 1 double crochet, and then put another double crochet. So that is an increase in that stitch, because we need this to go out like that. So see how that increase helped us get another stitch added to make that shape happen? So there we go. We are on our second row. And then I'm going to cut my yarn because I'm done with the orange. And now I'm going to bring in my yellow yarn for the third row. And now I have my yellow yarn attached, and I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn my work. And now in that same stitch again, we're going to put our first double crochet of the row. And then in all the rest of the stitches, we're just putting 1 double crochet in every stitch for this row. So no increasing or anything different, just 1 double crochet in every stitch. Reached my last stitch, and I'm putting my last double crochet into that stitch. And this is what we have so far. And now I'm going to cut my yarn. And attach my next color, which is green. Now I'm going to chain 2 again, turn my work. And now I'm going to, in that first stitch, add my first double crochet of the row. And now for this row, we are going to do the same thing as we did for the yellow row, or the previous row that you just did, row 3. We're going to do the same thing as row 3, and we're going to do 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way down. And now we are done with, I'm done with my green, and I'm just going to show you what we have so far. So now I've built up to this point here that I think that I need to start doing something else. So as you can see here, the double crochet stitches are going to be way too tall for this part here. So I'm going to do some smaller stitches and then go back to my double crochets, because the double crochet stitches, yeah, they're just way too tall for this portion here. So as you can see here with my blue panel, I just have some single crochets here and then half double crochets, and then building back up to just our regular double crochets. So I'm going to cut my green yarn and attach my blue. Now I'm going to chain 1 instead of 2, since I'm doing single crochets and I need my stitches to be shorter. So I'm just chaining 1, and in that first stitch I am doing my first single crochet, and now I'm going to do 4 more for a total of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and always be lining it up onto your shoe to make sure it's looking good. There we go. So we have our nice smaller stitches here. And now we're going to start building back up again. We don't want to go directly to a double crochet. We want it to be a little more gradual. So I'm going to do the next biggest stitch, which is a half double crochet, and I'm going to do 2 of those. So 5 single crochets, 2 half double crochets, and now for all the rest of the stitches, we are going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way down, just like we've been doing. Now I did my last stitch of the blue, just cutting my yarn, and I'm going to show you guys what we have so far. So this is where I am at, and now I'm going to do my purple row. Now I attached my purple, and I'm chaining 2, turning my work, and now I'm going to do 15 double crochets. So do my first one in that first stitch. So I have 1, 2, unroll some of my yarn real quick. Okay, so I have 2, 3, 4, and 15. So now I'm just going to pull out my yarn for a sec and show you what's up here. So now, as you can see, our row kind of needs to end right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a half double crochet, 3 single crochets, and then slip stitch just to stop the my progress, just because we have no more, we can't go all the way here. We have to make it smaller. So I'm going to go back and do 1 half double crochet, 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 1, and then I'm going to cut my yarn and pull out my hook. So here is what our shape is looking like. As you can see, we had to make our stitches smaller and then just stop because we didn't have any more room for any more stitches. And this is what it looks like on the side of the shoe so far. And we just have one more row to do. I just have one more row to do. You might have more depending on the length of your high top or whatever you're doing. But I just have to go ahead and attach my pink. But since I don't want to attach my pink here like we've been doing, that's why I just cut my yarn and I didn't attach it to anything. We're going to attach our yarn back to the beginning here on the flat side, just because if we attach it here, there's no more need for any stitches. So we're going to go ahead and attach our yarn right over here. So go ahead and flip your work back over, and then I'm going to attach my pink. Actually, I'm flipping my work like this, sorry, because then I'm going to turn my work. So I'm going to attach my yarn in the first stitch on the flat side here. So we have our flat side here, and I'm going to attach my hook right here, and then tie in my pink yarn. Remember, this is the flat side, not this shaped side, because this side of the shoe is nice and flat, whereas this side has all the shaping, and that's why we need to make all the shaping on this side. So that is why we are cutting our yarn. But I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook back into that same stitch that we tied the yarn into, and I'm going to chain 2 like normal, and then turn my work like normal, and then I'm going to do 13 double crochets. So in that same stitch, I'm going to do my first double crochet. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So I have 13 now. Let's see what we have. And now we need to start making our stitches kind of just stop, like right here. So now I'm going to do 2 half double crochets. One, 2, 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and now we are going to slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 1, cut our yarn, pull it out and tighten it, and there we have our shaped panel. And here is what it looks like on the shoe. And there we have it. We're going to stretch this a bit when we sew it, just if we have like, you know, see there's a little bit of room here. We'll stretch it just a bit so it fits nice and perfectly onto our shoe. But there is our panel all finished. And I have all 4 of mine done because you're going to need 4. So go ahead and make 3 more, and then we will meet back up and talk about how we're going to make this front part. So all 4 of my side panels are done, and now we only need 2 tongue pieces for the front here. I have technically 4 since we're making the 4 individual panels for each piece, but we only need 1 panel for this, 1 each. So I made 2 individual ones, and you might not have to, but I made 2. And basically why I did that was because, as you can see the shape of the shoe here, one of them fit perfectly. And then if I were to keep going, there's this little piece of fabric here. So it was not ideal, but I thought it was perfect just to make another panel, just to cut it off and make another panel. So I'm gonna sew this one on right here, this little 4-rowed panel right here, and then this extra panel here, I'm going to sew right on here, just like that. And it worked out really well, and it fit perfectly. So I was really happy with how this happened. I only had to make 1 draft for this, which was really awesome. I really figured this one out really quickly. So I'm going to show you guys how I made these 2 panels. I'm going to start out again with my red yarn. And I'm going to make a slip knot. And I'm going to chain 14. So now I have 14 stitches to go right here. And then I'm going to chain that extra 2 again like we did in the side panels. So I'm going to chain that extra 2 so we can go in our 3rd stitch with our first double crochet without messing up our count that we have. So I'm going to go in that 1st stitch with our first double crochet. And we're just going to do 1 double crochet in every stitch, in every single chain all the way down the chain. So now I have my red done, and I'm going to cut my yarn. So now we have this front piece right here, and now I'm going to bring in my orange yarn for the next row, and I'm going to go ahead and attach it. And it's going to be the same as this row with 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way down. So it's just going to be the exact same thing. So I'm just chaining 2, turning my work, putting my first double crochet in that first stitch, and I'm going to just put 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way down the row. So I just reached my last stitch, cutting my yarn, and now I'm bringing in my yellow. And now I'm going to need to start increasing because the shoe is getting a little bit, needing to be a little bit wider on both sides. So like with our side panels, we had one side that remained nice and flat, like on the side of the shoe. It remains nice and straight and flat. But for this part, since we're doing both sides, we want to increase on both sides of the panel. So, and I'm going to chain 2, turn my work, and put my first double crochet in that first stitch, but I'm also going to put another double crochet in that stitch for an increase in the first stitch so we can have our panel flaring out just a touch. And now in the rest of the stitches until I get to the final stitch, I'm going to put 1 double crochet. But in that final stitch, again, like I did in my first stitch of this row, I am going to put 2 double crochets for an increase because we need to match it nice and evenly on both sides. So here I'm on my final stitch, and I'm just going to put 1 double crochet and another double crochet, so we have 2. So now we've increased on both sides of the panel. And now for my panel, I only have 1 more row for this portion here, which is going to be green. So I'm attaching my green now, and now I'm just chaining 2, turning my work, and in that first stitch, I'm going to do 1 double crochet, and in all the rest of the stitches, just 1 double crochet in every stitch for this row. Honestly, now that I'm looking back at this, I probably could have just shaped it differently to do 1 panel, but it turned out just fine doing the 2 for the tongue, so I'm not too upset about it. But I could have probably shaped it differently to make the 1 work, but it's okay. I'm still happy with the end result. Now I have that last double crochet in. I'm just chaining 1, cutting my yarn, because that is all that we need for this panel. So there we have our first panel for the front part of the shoe done. And now we're going to work on this panel right here. And I'm going to start off with blue since I left off on green. Now I'm going to do a slip knot. And I'm going to chain 14. And I have my chain of 14, and I'm going to do our +2, so then our count isn't off. And then I'm going to put my first double crochet in that 3rd chain from the hook. And then I'm going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch, in every chain all the way down the chain. Just 1 double crochet. Now I have 1 double crochet in every stitch. And as you can see here, we have a perfect fit for this portion right here. We have a nice fit. And now as you can see, the shoe kind of cuts in a little bit. So what I did was accommodated that with my purple. See there? And on this side as well. So I'm going to show you how I did that. I'm just going to cut my blue yarn because I don't need it anymore, and I'm going to pull out my purple, and now I'm going to chain 1 and pull out my yarn, because what I'm going to do is attach my yarn in the 1, 2, and the 3rd chain here, in the 3rd stitch, in the 3rd double crochet, just how I did here, just to leave these spaces right here empty so we can, again, accommodate this part of the shoe. So I'm going to attach my purple yarn right here. Then I'm going to reinsert my hook into that stitch, chain 2, turn my work, and now I'm going to do 1, oops, and now I'm going to do 1 double crochet in that same stitch that we attached our yarn to. And I'm going to do a total of 10 double crochets down the row. And stop when there are 2 stitches left, so we are equal on both sides. Now that I have 10 double crochets and 2 double crochets skipped at the end of the row, see how we have this fitting very nicely now. Just like that. And now I'm going to cut my purple, grab my pink, and attach my pink just like how we regularly do. And now I'm going to chain 2, turn my work, And now in the first stitch, I'm going to do an increase to kind of build back up our shape in size. As you can see, we need to add some more stitches. So I'm increasing in the first and last stitch of this row. So we had 14 stitches to start, and then 10, and now we will have 12 because we are increasing on the first and last stitch. So I'm just putting 1 double crochet now in every stitch after the first increase stitch. And then once I reach my final stitch here, right here, I'm going to put 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. And now since I finished my rainbow, I'm going to attach red. And I'm going to chain 2, turn my work, put 1 double crochet in that first stitch. And then there will be no increasing for this row, just 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way down. Now I just cut my yarn and I'm attaching my next color, which is orange. And then for this row, we're going to do the same thing that we did in the red row, in the previous row that we did, in this one right here. We're just going to chain 2, turn our work, put our first double crochet in that first stitch again, and then just 1 double crochet in every stitch for this row. I finished my orange row and already attached my next color. And I'm just chaining 2, turning my work. And for this row, we are going to increase in the first and last stitch. So put our first double crochet and our second double crochet. So we have 2 in the first. Double crochet like normally until you get to your last stitch, and then you're going to increase in that one as well. Because you're basically just mirroring what you do in the first stitch and the last stitch for the front panel of the shoe. So I'm just doing 1 double crochet until I reach the end for my increase. So now I'm just putting my second double crochet, put my second double crochet into that final stitch, cut my yarn. Now I'm going to attach my green. Now I only have 3 rows left, and the last 3 rows are going to be the exact same thing. So you're just going to chain 2, put your first double crochet in the first stitch, and then just 1 singular double crochet in the rest of the stitches. Just 1 double crochet in every single stitch. There's no increasing or anything at all for these last 3 rows for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish my green, blue, and purple. Here, green, blue, and purple, just of 1 double crochet in every stitch. Now here are all the panels, all completed, all done. I wove in all of the ends, and honestly, it took a really long time. But, okay, so very big disclaimer. This is not a sewing tutorial because the sewing part of this was literally, it took me 2 days to sew them on. It was extremely tricky, but basically just seeing what I'm doing with this stitch. This is the needle that I used. It's a U-shaped needle, and I definitely recommend it because Bangs shoes especially are very high quality canvas, and trying to get through that you need some leverage, so being able to push on that U shape is very, very helpful. But see how the stitch that I'm using to kind of, I used this throughout the entire thing. But no, this is not a sewing tutorial. I have absolutely no idea how to properly put this on. I just put it on in the way that I thought looked best. And like I said earlier, I used a six strand thread, embroidery thread from DMC, and I wish that I had split it in half for the 3. And by this point, as you can see, I did split it in half, and it looks a lot better than with the 6. So I really wish that I would have done that. I'm kind of kicking myself, but now you can learn from my experience and you can do better for yours. And this is the top part. I really love this stitch and how cohesive it looks. And I definitely had no idea truly what I was doing with sewing it on, so it was all kind of a major experiment, but I think it turned out pretty good considering. And here is the end result. The shoes all completely finished, sewed on, crocheted. I'm super happy with it. Thank you to Alexandria for the idea, and I hope you guys try this too because it was so much fun. I hope this tutorial was helpful, and I can't wait for the next one. Thanks for watching. Love you!